Perhaps some of you have heard me describe St. Kitts on a number of occasions as, to me, it's like a crown. And St. Kitts has in that crown many jewels. Some of them are obvious and some of them are less obvious. When I first came into this area, this particular jewel was not obvious at all. You may be astonished to know that it was not cared for or protected, but I think it's a very significant part of our history and our heritage. Its significance I can't relate accurately, but certainly if you look at the size of these rocks, the prominence of these rocks, the scale of the carving that has gone on in these rocks, with the knowledge that Tegraman was living in this area, they must have massive significance.
I am Rastamboro Kitwano.
And I'm Marlene Phillips-Lee.
Welcome to Culture Beat. Today we are going to take a look at Wingfield Estate, the oldest permanent settlement in the Caribbean, now declared a national park. Wingfield Estate is one of 4 places on St. Kitts that has petroglyphs. What are petroglyphs? Petroglyphs are pictures that have been carved into rocks by Amerindians, the first people to inhabit St. Kitts. Amerindians were a combination of Indians from both Carib and Arawak tribes. The Caribs were warlike people who raided other settlements to obtain necessities for survival, and the Arawaks were primarily an agricultural people.
A tribe is a group of families or clans believed to have a common ancestor. The Caribs believed that Mother Earth provided them with everything that was good in life. They believed that the spirits of wind, water, disease, and death, also known as Manitou, had to be appeased in order for their tribe to live peacefully and fruitfully among them. On St. Kitts, there are 4 sets of rock carvings located at Wingfield Estate, Stone Fort, Harts Bay, and Willets Estate.
The petroglyphs of Wingfield Estate are considered to be one of the finest examples of rock carvings in the Lesser Antilles. On St. Kitts, they are one of the most accessible. Located on the northern side of Old Road at the entrance of Wingfield Estate Yard. 2
figures known as man and woman have been carved on large boulders. Both figures are shown in a squatting position. One figure is bigger than the other and has a large belly and a simple head. The smaller one has a large head with 2 plumes and a body.
I have lived in and around Wingfield Estate off and on for 26 years. The actual features of this rocks were lost, I would suggest, for a number of years. And when I found them, you'd be surprised to know that the big rock to the right-hand side of me, you can see like skid marks down it. That was used as like a kiddie's slide. And the kids were also actually sliding down this rock, and we were beginning to lose the petroglyphs. So I felt that as a jewel in our crown, it needed to be polished, and that's what I did.
As we look around, we see beautiful homes, we see schools, we see a nice daycare center. But still, what would you say are some of the things in the area that threatens this place?
Well, there are a number of things that threaten it, because I do believe that this could be enhanced. Perhaps you'll ask me a question about the enhancement of it later, but the only thing that threatens it is fundamentally man, or a man's inconsideration or concern for something that I think we should jealously guard, and I think it's very precious. The inconsideration is perhaps inconsiderate development that may be brought too close to it, so it wouldn't be an outstanding feature. You imagine this area and the immediate area that surrounds it, which isn't built upon. There is sufficient space here to perhaps build an Amerindian hut in Amerindian style, and contained in that hut could be most of the artifacts that have been found and developed in this island, and make a museum to the Amerindian past. I mean, that would be a very precious place for our school children, for our adult people to learn about the history of this island. It's something we can show with pride to our visitors. The other thing about it is I do believe that our past is our future, and the protection of our past can be income generating for future generations. For example, if you look at the actual petroglyphs on this rock, they're a very, very commercial formation. If you imagine people that do carvings on jewellery or on wood or through fretwork, we can make jewellery that shows this as, if you like, almost a signature of St. Kitts. The character on the right is almost a signature of St. Kitts as it is. It can be created on fabrics. I already do that. There could be a t-shirt industry created around it. It could be a marketable product that creates employment and therefore economic benefit for our people. You know, I've used the phrase earlier in this interview, and I'll use it again. I think our future is in our past, but it will take a marginally commercial development of that past to create a future for the young kids that are being educated right next door to us here.
Around this area and in a lot of places in St. Kitts, there is a lot of Carib artifacts found. And a lot of people have them in their homes as private treasures. I would love to see, because if we're going to do a museum and we're going to have a Carib hut, I think we need, these artifacts don't belong to the people as much as they belong to the people who found them. But at the same time, it belongs to everybody in St. Kitts. I would like you to make an appeal to anybody that when it happens, if it should happen, and it should happen, that they could bring in and share with us. Make that appeal for us.
Sure. Well, first of all, Mop, I am pleased that you're as enthusiastic as Marlon and I am about this possible Carib hut here. Anybody that has Carib artifacts, I think if this develops, there will be an appeal through all the media for people to come forward with those artifacts. Now, my appeal will be as follows. You don't have to give away what you've got, although it should belong to the nation. But you could donate it or loan it to a museum. You will be recognized as the owner. Your name would be in that museum. It would give you pride to take your children and your visitors to see that museum, and with pride you can see your name in there. So you're not giving up anything. What you're actually doing is bringing to a broader audience something that you have in private. And the beauty can be, and the interest can be shared by thousands instead of one person. And I think that if we collectively do that and bring these assets together in one place, we will all benefit. It will be for all our benefit.
Wingfield Estate is not only home to the petroglyphs, but it's also the site of a very exciting study that is currently being done. The Wingfield Watershed, located in St. Thomas Parish, is a natural resource that is being developed to further benefit the people living in the surrounding townships. The study covers an area of approximately 50 acres of land.
Brian Farrell, an environmentalist at the St. Christopher and Nevis Ministry of Health and Environment, is project leader of the Wingfield Watershed study.
A watershed is a contiguous area of land that leads from the highest elevations in the mountain right down to the seashore. And it's normally defined by a drainage facility. That's the more technical aspect of what a watershed is considered as. But in layman's term, watershed, just as the term implies, to shed water. Any area that actually sheds or deposits water within a river, within a stream that is backed by mountains. The mountains would normally form the drainage pattern, the drainage system into these rivers. So the water would roll down the mountain into the rivers and then lead all the way to the sea.
Daniel Hicks. I'm like an archaeologist. I'm actually based in the UK at the moment, and I'm here in order like to understand and investigate like the archaeology of the area around Wingfield. And so rather than only looking at an individual site, we're actually looking at a whole landscape, which you know, actually within it holds an enormous amount of like information about early European activity in the West Indies, and also later activity all the way up into the 19th century.
The aims and objectives of the study are to review all the existing documentation pertaining to the history of Wingfield and its environs, which refer to all the relevant structures, natural or man-made, within the designated area of study, like the Great House, bridges, or dams on the premises.
Take an inventory of existing historical and cultural resources of the Wingfield estate works and environs,
and to conduct a historical reconstruction and interpretation of the operations of Wingfield estate works and environs.
Since the mid-1600s, Wingfield Estate has been an agricultural estate. In 1675, the estate was owned by the Jefferson family, and in 1682, they made a request to the governor to use the water from the Wingfield River for a watermill. In 1685, the estate was passed on to Christopher Jefferson, an absentee landlord who resided near Newmarket in England. In the 1920s, the existing mill buildings were converted for use as a hydroelectric facility with a turbine system. This supplied electricity from the Old Road area to Sandy Point.
The estate has gone through many transitions. Its operations have moved from animal power to water power, eventually to steam power. The processing of sugarcane, the main crop harvested by Wingfield Estate and others during the 1700s, came to an end with the opening of the Central Sugar Factory in 1912.
The watershed is important for us because as residents, all of us live in some sort of watershed, whether in the coastal watershed area or in the higher forested watershed areas. So the watershed concept, though it's new to the Federation, maybe new to the Federation, it's relatively established that we live in watersheds and we impact watersheds and in turn are impacted by watersheds. The project is being done firstly as a partner to a number of other projects, OECS Watershed Management Initiative that was initiated last year. And the situation is that the islands of the OECS, Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and St. Kitts specifically have been identified to develop a watershed management project. The underlying objective of the project, the Wingfield Watershed Management Project, was to ensure the development of sound environmental policies for the sustainable use of the resources in the Wingfield watershed. With that in mind, what is planned as part of the activities is the development of an integrated system of trails within the Wingfield watershed, the development of the history of the Wingfield estate ruins itself, and also a recreation of the history of the estate so that it can be interpreted and presented to the public.
Hi, my name is O'Neill Mullen, and I'm one of the tour guides that take nature tours out in the Wingfield area. I also do maintenance for Carabel Boutique around the heritage site of the Wingfield area right here. I also been one of the older tour guides out in this area who has been taking nature tours for like 14 years. What we do in the Wingfield area, we have like a figure 8 trail, which happens to be a loop trail. It could be very strenuous because at one end of it, which happens to be the top end of it, we could get you up to elevation about 1,000 feet, and then we could take you down in the lower end of it, which could get you up to elevation about 550 feet, 600 feet. And what we do there is to talk about the different species of plants and animals that happens to be there in our beautiful ecosystem. I also been a member of the tour guide committee of the Wingfield watershed, which has been going on in session for a little while. And I'm not very sure what would be the impact, but I'm just hoping whatever it is, it will be very good so that the people here in Oldwood will be getting a very good benefit from it. And because I happen to be one of the residents in Oldwood right now, I'm not from Oldwood, but I'm living there. I'm hoping for the best as well, and that is why I'm taking part of it.
It's a funded project, so we are hoping that in the event where activities relative to the development of the project is to be undertaken, they will firstly be undertaken by the residents of the Wingfield watershed. The Wingfield watershed are seen, the residents are seen as the custodians and also the owner of this particular resource. So in an effort to ensure that the benefits accrue to the residents, employment in terms of the construction of trail furniture, the clearing of trails, the the digging of culverts and trenches, all will be facilitated through the employment of residents in the Wingfield watershed. Additionally, upon the delivery of the project, which will start to be sometime in December 2001, we are hoping to encourage support services in the form of vending operations, the provision of cut flowers, sustainable agriculture, because we find that many times when tourism is developed in an area, the farmers are turned into bartenders and maids. So what we want to guard against situations like this happening, but we are going to encourage the sustainable farming of the area as a support to the tourism activities that may actually happen in this particular watershed. In fact, this area provides the island with more than 3/4 of the surface water that is consumed, especially the rural areas. The areas running from Old Road right around to Date Bay depends on this particular watershed for water.
Well, there you have it, an interesting piece of our culture. We must try to take an active part in protecting these endangered sites if we want them to be around for many years to come. With the development of this natural resource, we'll have a place that will give us more natural trails, stimulate our economy, and encourage local employment.
These are the kind of changes that we would like to see in St. Kitts, incorporating the preservation of our treasured heritage sites into productive tourism ventures that will benefit St. Kitts and its people. Join us again when we will visit other heritage sites on St. Kitts. And next time, we'll meet you on the beat.
Culture be a soy go.